Hey everyone. So in this series, we're going to talk about spiritual renewal for your personality type. Now, there's lots of great resources out there, but wouldn't you like to know how to have spiritual renewal for your personality type? Yeah, that's what I thought. So hang in there. Your type is coming somewhat in the next 2 weeks, and we're going to dive into how you are not defined by your personality type. You are defined by being Christ's most beloved child. So in each of these days, we're going to see what it's like to have spiritual renewal for you specifically. We'll see you there. Hey, type ones. So let's talk about spiritual renewal for you and some things that you can do to really feel revived and refreshed in new ways. So for you, we really recommend that you go out and you have a walk out in nature. The reason why this is so great for ones is because nature is perfect in its imperfection. Meaning, when God designs nature the way it is, even if a twig lands there or a leaf over there, it's perfect. It's just the way it's supposed to be. And so that gives a sense of calm for a one, instead of being somewhere where they know it must look like this or it should look like that. Just being out in nature, it is what it is. And so when you're there, reflect on how God designed the things to be just the way they are in its imperfection, and yet how beautiful it is. And allow that to refresh and renew you so that when you come back into your everyday life circumstances, you can see that not everything has to be a very specific way in order to be okay. That there can be some chaos and some things that don't look the way they should look or be the way they should be. And that there is a stillness and okayness with that. We also recommend that you journal, and in your journaling that you talk with your inner critic, that you let it know that you appreciate that it has its thoughts, but ultimately you're going to follow the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit will guide you in a perfect, assuring, gentle, kind way that you don't need to be berated on anymore. And ask the Holy Spirit to do that in and for you. I hope this brings some renewal for you. Okay, type 2s, what is spiritual renewal for you? What can it look like? Well, you have needs. Yes, you have emotions and you have needs. I know it's so easy for you to look at everyone else's needs and to feel their feelings, and that can be really beautiful, but you can only do that for so long. If you don't take care of yourself, you will be depleted and you will no longer be able to give the way your heart really is designed to give. And you'll only want things in return. So what we would love for you to do is to take inventory of yourself on what you need. So maybe get a journal and write down and think through, what do I need? What am I feeling? What are the struggles that I'm dealing with? And can I ask for help? Or can I tell my family, my spouse, my coworkers that I need a break, or I'm going to go do this, I'm going to take a walk, something so that you can feel renewed and refreshed again. Don't allow your inner voice to tell you that you're being selfish, because it's not true. When you take good care of yourself, you're honoring God, just like Christ took good care of himself, right? He wasn't with the masses all the time. Model after him. He spent time alone with his Father, with just a few people, and sometimes 12, but not always the masses. And he wasn't always healing or helping. So follow Christ, take good care of yourself, and then take great care of others. Hey, type 3s, what might it look like for you to have some spiritual renewal where you are taking some time to replenish yourself in ways that are very different than what you're used to? So what we'd love for you to do is to journal. And this isn't journaling on what goals and tasks that you would like to accomplish. We would love for you to take inventory on your feelings and what's really going on inside in your most authentic self. Write it down, journal, just allow the pen to flow. There's no right way, there's no, oh, I accomplished this. Just allow yourself to express what is going on in the inside. Allow your true and authentic self to come out and to be real. You're not going to be doing this for me. I'm not going to see it. Do it for you before the Lord. Be authentic and real and share your heart, what your needs are, your longings, your passions, and your fears. But we also want you to spend time with others in a way that you're truly focused on them and their well-being. Now, this doesn't mean you don't do this. You do. But to be very intentional on asking about them and listening fully and not sharing what you have accomplished or have done. Just simply pull out of them all the best of who they are. And when you do this, you're going to find this refreshment that you're seeing God work in and through others, and you will delight in it. And then guess what? You will be at your best because you will be their cheerleader. You will motivate them. You will see them soar through focusing on them and not having them focus on you and what you've accomplished. Allow the love of Christ just to allow it to sit on you and that you don't need it from others. And this you will find refreshing. Type 4s, what might it be like for you to find spiritual renewal? Well, there's lots of ways, but one that we would suggest is that you get a journal out and you start writing all the things that you're grateful for. And the reason we want you to do this is not because you're not grateful, but because of the core weakness of envy. It is super easy to start to see how others have things that you're lacking in or you feel you're lacking in. You actually probably are not, but that's the personality getting in there, right? And so we want you to journal what you're grateful for, because often when our hearts get all wrapped up in envy, it's really hard to see what we're really thankful for or grateful for, and yet you are. So if you write it out and you look at it often, you will see how your heart softens to envy and comes alive to what Christ has already given you. Then we also want you to take time to be with others and to really focus in on them and allow your emotions to be there, but to be balanced. So when you have emotions rise up, check them and see what they are, but also let them know, hey, we don't have to get too heightened. We don't have to get too low. We can simply be with this other person and allow that beauty to permeate in the conversation. Wouldn't that just be amazingly awesome? And I guarantee that when you do this, the other person is going to begin to understand you more and more. And that will fill you with delight because they're seeing your most authentic self. So I hope that you will find this absolute renewal inside you as you express your most authentic self with others. Type 5s, we want to take a look at what it means to have spiritual renewal for you. And what that could look like is for you to get together with other people and see how God can help you to recharge even when you're with others. Now, this can be really challenging because people can really deplete you of your internal resources. But when you're kind of getting to that place, it is not wrong or bad to be able to go recharge somewhere else. But if you can't go recharge, see what it's like to pray and ask for the Holy Spirit to fill you up and to renew you, trusting that your needs are not a problem for Him and that He can come in at any moment and give you exactly what you need. But we also recommend that you do something physical. It could be walking, swimming, yoga. It could be, anything, running, you name it. So see what you can do physically to get in touch with your heart, your head, and your body. Because for most of the time, 5s are living up in their head. It's a fortress. It's a safe place for you. But a lot of times it means you have a disconnect or you detach. But when you are more physically active, it could be a slow walk to a fast walk to a run. Any physical activity helps you to connect all three and allows you to really have renewal of your soul and to replenish you. But it also lets you tap into the real source of life in a whole different way than just reading and learning, though those are great. But it gives you another side that's really refreshing. So we hope that you will take some of these ideas into account. Okay, so type 6s, what is spiritual renewal and what are some things that you can do to experience it? Well, the first thing we want to recognize is that you have the inner committee that is chiming in from all different directions. What about this? What about that? Well, this could happen. And it could be all-consuming. Confusion is just always around you. And it's like chaos. So how do you calm all that down? Well, first is just recognizing that it's not the Holy Spirit. Your inner committee brings confusion and chaos and discord. But the Holy Spirit brings peace, assurance, and clarity, wisdom, insight to your true self. Now, that doesn't mean you just shove the inner committee out the door. No. listen to them, thank them, but you tap into what your true self is really saying and how the Holy Spirit is speaking to you. And you will know it because you will have more, not maybe complete, but more peace, assurance, and a restful heart. And then have the courage to step out in faith and doing what you believe the Holy Spirit is doing before necessarily asking others their advice. Now, asking others is not bad. Being teachable is wonderful. But we also want you to learn how to tap in to what the Holy Spirit is trying to reveal to you with His wisdom. And so we want you just to balance this bit of teachability with courage and asking the Holy Spirit to make things very clear for you so you have the freedom to move forward with a new brave heart. But we also encourage you to be with friends where you express your anxieties and your fears in a way that's not a burden to others, but that you're letting them know how they can pray for you so that you can start listening to the Holy Spirit in this way with your true, authentic self. Type 7s, spiritual renewal. What is this going to look like for you? Well, it can look like a lot of things, but one thing I think that would be really neat is if you took a walk and you just looked at nature and you marveled at the wonders that God has done for all of us, right? And what I'm hoping that you'll do is you'll absolutely be present in the moment. It's almost like, when we were kids and we went on those nature walks and they asked us to collect things, leaves and whatnot, and then you would put it like in a journal. Well, I would love to see you doing something similar, not because it's kiddish, but because it helps you to be grounded and still in what Christ has already done, how He's created these intricate big things, but even inside them are these small molecules and cells, and how amazingly wonderful and brilliant He is. And as you're going through that process, think through how He has designed you. And even though I know you feel like you have this empty hole that you need to fill up with fun, stimulation, excitement, that He is the spring of living water and that He fills you up. And so the more you rest in what He has already accomplished and see it and get grounded in who He is and the wonders that He has already for you, you will have this grateful heart that will feel content and full. So I just suggest that you go out, you grab a bunch of things that really just inspire you or excite you and look at them closely and marvel at the works of God and how it grounds you in the present moment. So see what that does. Okay, type 8s, spiritual renewal. What does that look like for you? Well, I think one thing that would be really neat is if each day in the morning you wrote down several things that you feel that you need to control or to be ready for or to protect yourself from, and write them down and ask the Lord how He is going to protect you. But also write down what it might look like for you to hand it over to Him, to like almost physically hand it over to Him. Not in a sense where you're like, yep, I'll just open myself up to anything and any harm. No, we're not saying that. But what does it look like to take the next step, to be vulnerable and to trust in ways that might not feel natural or normal for you? So see what the Lord is going to do in that. And then we would suggest that you meet with someone, that you maybe go get coffee, but with someone you really do trust. And take the next step and be vulnerable with them. Let them know how you do fear being weak and vulnerable and not in control. And talk about it with them. Taking that first step in vulnerability and seeing someone care for you can really renew your soul. So start with that. Type 9s, spiritual renewal. What does it look like for us, since I'm a type 9? Well, the first and foremost is the fog. We live in this inner fog. We don't know ourselves very well. And beyond that, we don't think it really matters, but it does. Your inner world, how God designed you, absolutely matters. So we want you to get a journal out and write down the things that you're passionate about, the things you like, but also write down the things you don't like. That actually can be easier. Write down all the things you dislike, you don't want to do, you're very confident and assured about that, but then let those also point you to what you might like. So if you know you don't like being in crafts or art, well, what do you like? Or let's say you don't like sports or physical activity. Okay, well, what do you like? And the reason we need to do this is because we're constantly merging with other people with their likes and dislikes. So maybe you even write down other people's names and what they're passionate about, and then reevaluate, is that my passion or am I just blending in? Am I just merging with them? And then start to ask yourself, what do I want? What do I like? Now, this might take a long time. In fact, it can take a lifetime in some areas. Some areas you might all of a sudden become clear and I know this is what I want. Great. But some, it might take a really long time, and that's okay. Just start the conversation with yourself. But then when you find something that you like or you want, voice it. Be assertive, be confident, not in the sense like everyone should focus on me. No, it's that you matter, just like others matter to you. You matter. So take that step of faith and say, this is what I want. This is what I would like. And see what happens. Not see what others will do about it, but watch yourself. Watch God build you up with this sense of confidence and assuredness and moving you forward. And you will see this beautiful new person emerge, and people are going to really delight in because you are a delight.